Good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, March 27th meeting of the Ypsilanti Police Advisory Commission. I guess this is me calling this meeting to order. Let's do roll call, Lori.
Commissioner Seafor,
Here.
Commissioner Humes,
Present.
Commissioner McCormick,
Present.
Commissioner Mohammed,
Present.
Commissioner Monroe, Commissioner Perry,
Present.
Commissioner Wolkoff. Did I say that wrong? You have quorum.
Thank you. When you guys have had the opportunity to take a look at the agenda for today's meeting, just on this first page, somebody wants to move to approve the agenda, or if anyone has questions or comments or modifications to the agenda, please let us know.
Onto the packet for the approval of the minutes.
Okay, should we
I could add.
approve them next time? Okay, yeah, that's fine. So we'll just take off approval of minutes, or note that we're adding it to the next meeting for the February minutes. And does anyone else, any of my fellow commissioners, have any items that they have questions about, additions they'd like to make, subtractions, etc.? If not, someone wants to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. And okay, now, okay, we're not approving minutes. Public comment. Anyone from the floor? And I think when we last checked, it looked like we had at least one person on Zoom. Couple people.
Does anyone on Zoom like to speak? Please raise your hand.
Okay. Last chance till the end of the meeting when we have another opportunity for public comment. Okay. Moving on to discussion items. Chief Anderson, you look so different. Yeah, floor is yours.
Chief Anderson couldn't be here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, happy. Thank you for coming.
February to 2025. Kidnappings. Non-aggravated assaults, we're down 10% from 19 to 17. Aggravated assaults, we're down 28% from 7 to 5. Intimidation and stalking, we're up from 1 to 2. Burglaries, we were down from 4 to 1. And home invasions went from 1 to 0. We're up from 1 to 5, which is a big increase.
Economy.
That's pretty much the differences in between last year to this year. For the beginning year to date from January 1st through the end of February.
I guess number one, and this is probably not your department, but usually we get a copy of that stuff as part of the packet so that we can like follow along and look at it. Lori, can I just email the chief and ask that do that or okay.
Said normally that we do receive it. All we received was that letter.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so, but I did not receive anything else, so I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, okay. And then I don't know if, do you have a copy of this? Yeah, okay. Do you have questions?
No, I'm just, because you're talking.
You're allowed. It's
I'm allowed to look at
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
I will be quiet now and let you talk about the memo.
I mean,
On Zoom is Kathleen Anderson.
Oh,
Hello, all. Can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate that. Are we missing some documentation? I think I forwarded everything a couple weeks ago. Are we missing something?
Just the Clemis,
they don't have the
packet.
numbers.
we don't have the copy ourselves, which is fine,
Okay.
but just a more in general thing.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think I sent that to Tracy. Maybe she didn't forward it, but Lieutenant Wist should have those. I can go over those with you, and we'll make sure that the commission have those going forward.
He went over the numbers. I feel good about that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Could you don't have to make copy, or I would just, the youth. That'd be useful, but also the youth, because that's continually going up and down, and it's spring. Sure.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt. I
No,
came
you're
on a
good.
little late. If there's any questions that I need to assist with, I'll be here. And again, I'm sorry I'm a little late tonight.
No, don't be. I think, as far as I'm concerned, whether it's you or Lieutenant Wist, I'm just interested in now hearing more about the sort of department updates.
Lieutenant Wist, I'll let you go ahead and then I'll fill in afterwards.
All righty. So for February, we had 2 uses of force. One is complete and we found no issues with. Second one is still under administrative review. Should be completed shortly. We've had no citizens complaints, no vehicle pursuits. We have sent 2 people to background investigation school. We have a firearms instructor added to the cadre. We sent 2 people to detective school. Sent 2 people to crime scene management. The whole department went to CPR training. The whole department's going through OC training as well, we're almost through the whole department. And we have 1 person that went through crisis intervention. 13 vacancies,
So is it 17 or 13?
13 vacancies.
Currently 17.
We have 17 on,
I see.
and then 13.
Okay. Just because every single other row is the number written and then like the number spelled out and then the number as a number. So I was just making sure. Okay. Keep going. Sorry.
We got 2 new officers that started field training in the last few weeks. We hired 2 in March. We have 4 candidates for sending them through the academy, currently in the background portion of that. And we have 1 more anticipated to start in the beginning of April. Also, April 1st, we will be going live with the survey. Handed out at every interaction.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Sounds great. And everybody so far has been advised on how to do so. Just have to get it in there. Don't know if he's talked about it yet, but we have it in Arabic and English. Trying to get it in Spanish. But we have to hire somebody.
Okay. Is that like a right, like you can't just Google Translate or something? Is that like a rule?
I don't know how that's.
Okay, just curious.
It didn't translate completely over just with Google Translate. So what I'm thinking about is that I'm gonna hire outside just to make sure it's
Probably good to
translate.
not have it in broken second language. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So
Okay.
we're looking outside of the city for that, but there's 2 languages available now, and we'll get the 3rd here going shortly after April 1st.
Awesome. That's great news.
So Lieutenant, I'm unfamiliar with the terminology of the use of force before we had the situation laid out. I mean, we got the scenario of what was happening. What does complete an administrative review mean? I just don't know what those, I mean,
So
what it means in this context.
the completed one has gone through all the steps and justified.
Okay, could you tell us what the steps are?
Sergeant will do an admin review, body cam, go on scene, collect all information at that point. They'll then come to me. I will review what the sergeant has and review what the body cam, and then it goes to chief. He does the same thing to make sure we're in compliance with policy.
And use of force, what is the definition? Because use of force can be throwing somebody against
Anytime,
car or just moving somebody against their without them wanting to move.
anytime we move somebody
Yep.
other than just compliant handcuffing.
Yep.
Is considered use of force.
Okay, so like,
So if we have to take somebody to the ground, it's a use of force, whether it's we just escort them or we have to force them. It's still a use of force, either way you look at
okay. So if you ask somebody to turn around and they don't turn around, can I touch you for a second?
Sure.
And you go, turn around, is that a
it.
use of
If we're
force?
forcing them to do something that's
Yep.
not, yes.
Okay, so it like just hands on.
Once we go hands-on, other than just
Getting there, I'm getting there.
Putting cuffs on.
putting cuffs on, it's then becomes a use. of
So you're putting cuffs on or are you having them put their own cuffs on?
How can you?
What?
Anything we're going to report on anything that is beyond compliant handcuffing, point blank. We would always put the cuffs on. I've never seen in my time anybody really put the cuffs on for themselves. But we are going to over report on use
Well,
of force.
I'm getting clarification. So when we're asked what use of force definition is, because this Ypsilanti's is way different than Ann Arbor's,
Yes, ma'am.
of course. So I just want to make sure that,
Yes, ma'am. Anything other than compliant handcuffing, we're going to report out on it. That's some of the measures and steps that we've taken. If we ask somebody to turn around, if we got to turn them around, we're going to do a use of force report. If
What if
we
you have to pull a taser out or pull a firearm out?
Use of force.
Use of force.
That's the use of force now,
Okay,
sir.
perfect.
Even after we spoke about that, that's part of them
That's
reporting in their case CFSs. They're going to put that information in there. So we're going to be over reporting, if you will, on use of force. But anything other than compliant handcuffing will generate a use of force report. It's in policy now and supervision. We've had training. We did training yesterday. They know what their responsibilities are in terms of getting the admin report to my, well, at least started to Lieutenant Wist and then forwarded to myself, which is 48 hours.
Okay. And in general, has the department, I can imagine if I were an officer in the department and I got told like, hey, anytime any of these things that might often be like normal course of performing your duties, like, hey, now you have to report all this stuff and we're calling it use of force. I could imagine some folks feeling not amazing about that, but I also understand that it's not like a, hey, it doesn't actually increase the odds that folks are going to get disciplined.
I-
Yeah, yeah.
That because we have a lot
Okay.
of newer people,
Okay.
so they don't know what
There's no
Yeah.
used to be. Yeah.
I've been here, so like this stuff you were saying might not have been a use of force before, but now it's clearly set out where if we gotta go hands-on, we're doing a use of force.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with Lieutenant Wist. That's the beauty of having a young department. We don't have those old bad habits. Myself and Lieutenant Wist being the most senior person in the agency, myself the second. But again, I would prefer, we're going to be on the side of over reporting, and we're going to review all those instances where if we have to pull a taser, whether we deploy it or not, we're going to report a use of force. If anything other than compliant handcuff, we have to help you get up off the ground, we're going to report that as use of force. And, Lieutenant Wist, the report will go to him, and then I'll review it as well, just to make sure that we're in compliance with the policy and that no excessive force is being used.
Okay.
So my question is, so you said that it's policy now, so are you saying that it is, what are you saying? Is it in writing and the steps are delineated? That's word I could use. They're all written out. So those steps are in a officer's manual or something, so that when, you say, okay, read the manual and here's this and here's that. So,
Yes, sir. Commissioner Humes, yes, sir. Those things are in policy. The supervisors have clear expectations and standards as far as use of force and notifications, and so do the officers. I conducted some of the training yesterday and the day before. Anytime that we use force, there's notifications that must come through the chain of command to myself, and there's reports that need to be done. So yes, sir, it comes through the chain of command, is delineated to the troops, and everyone is clear on what their role is anytime we use any type of force.
or if there's a discrepancy or something from, I don't know, from a citizen or whatever, and they're asking for some kind of review or whatever, you can always go back to, here it is, point 1B, we had to do this, and so that's why this is considered appropriate or whatever.
Yes, sir.
It shouldn't
That's
be
what I
the
wanted. That's what I
trying to
wanted.
play catch up. If it got somehow passed through, we would already have the administrative review investigation.
Yeah, verbal intimidation, because if you have somebody,
Let someone,
so if you have somebody standing in front of you that's yelling or being intimidating towards you, and the power dynamics of an officer of the law and a citizen, that can be used as just, the intimidation.
to yell at somebody, but if we had to detain them
Okay,
by forcing them to turn around and put the handcuffs on them, yes.
no, that's,
That would be one step up on the force continuum, active aggression.
okay. Thank you.
I agree.
Making copies. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look, or if you guys have any
Yeah.
questions. Only if Hey,
For the people online, I apologize. It's not part of the packet, but I'll be adding it tomorrow so that you can see it on the City of Ypsi website on the agenda center for the YPAC.
Juvenile offenses are down
Thank you. That's what I was searching for.
9 to 6. But it is spring break right now. Oh,
It's warm. I am well aware of what's happening.
give it a couple weeks.
yeah, wait till next month.
And
I could tell you from last week, but we won't go there. Anyway.
and I don't want to overtalk Lieutenant Wist. I'm sorry. I know last month we talked a little bit about the animal complaints. I went back and researched all of those. I think Commissioner McCormick hit it right on the nose. Some of those were like passerbys calling and saying, "Hey, a dog or so was left in a car. They think it's too cold. We don't locate the dog, or we don't locate the vehicle." Also, it seemed a couple of those calls from last month, similar to this month, are really neighbor troubles where a neighbor feels, hey, a dog's being left outside too long. The rest of the calls, we are literally not getting dispatched on. I believe dispatch is sending those like to the ACO, the animal control officer, before so it's generating a number, but we're never even being dispatched on it. So I think those numbers, I don't want to say inflated, but I don't think our YPD is having a response on all those calls. So as we see the numbers go up, it's not really action that we're taking. They're being referred to, like I say, the ACO or different mechanisms.
Thank you for looking into that.
Questions?
About the academy. We have, you said there were only four new
There's 4 currently in the background process.
background
Possibly.
process,
Pre-academy, right? Yeah.
getting background checks, so then they would, if they pass,
If they pass, there'll be a meeting. I believe that's when the contract will come into play.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And from there, they would go to the academy. I think it's May.
May 5th.
Percent sure on the number.
there's not a set, so there's not a, you may not know what the number is, but there's not a set number for those who come through Ypsi?
Come into play because you got the cost of the academy, then we have to pay them a base wage plus you just keep healthcare and
Uniforms.
uniforms.
Okay.
They get healthcare from day one at the academy.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, my screen's going in and out if I'm missing something, but yes, they do get healthcare from day one, full benefits. The wage for our academy hires is $20.83 with the new contract. So that's what they start from day one.
Okay.
Do you know the total
The total for the academy,
academy and the wage and everything?
what I can tell you is that we get typically right now we have grants that's available. The grant is for roughly $25,000. After
person.
all is said and done for the training in which we pay for everything, there's still a little bit left for the city, but the 25,000 doesn't cover really when we talk about the training portion on top of obviously the wages, but on top of the uniforms, because what we end up buying is really 2 sets of uniforms, right? So we're buying training uniforms, but we also have to buy a Class A uniform, and we also have to buy the Class B uniform, which is which they wear on the road, right, for road patrol. So generally speaking, if we hire a lateral, we're paying for a Class B uniform. We don't pay per the contract. We don't pay for a Class A. For the graduation, we buy one uniform for that. So that's why it's critical that when we recruit people, when we hire them, we're making a substantial investment in them for the training. But the grant does not cover all, but it definitely covers, I would say, about 90%. The money changes a little bit from year to year, but it's about 90 to 92, 93% of the total cost for that individual to go to training for 6 months.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, this thing is going in and out here.
You're doing just fine. Wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't said something.
So are officers required to be part of the force for any particular time or before a reimbursement plan happens? Because I know.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
world of education, they pay for you, but if you leave within a year, then you pay back the whole thing and it just starts decreasing. I don't know what that's called.
Yes, ma'am. So the contract I've developed, and I would say I took it from other agencies that's using this. So it's really a best practices kind of endeavor. It's a 4-year contract, and every year, if you left in the first year, it's 100%. Second year, 75, 50, and then 25. The idea is that the city, it just protects the city, and it gives an expectation to the individual, because especially with a small city, larger agencies, it may not matter. A smaller city like ourselves, we're making a substantial investment in these individuals. As if you're listening to me, from bringing them on board, even with the grant, we're still paying, right, from benefits, uniforms. There's several uniforms that we don't buy for a lateral hire, and these grants, the state only allocates so many of them. So for this class, I may be able to use 3 or 4 grants, but there's another academy in October at Washtenaw, which I'm hoping, praying that we'll be able to send somebody to that academy. I'm not guaranteed to have a grant. So if we're not fully staffed and we find an individual that we feel meets our standards, if we want to sponsor them or employ them to go through the academy, as MCO says, we would foot that bill. So these grants, while they are allocated to the agencies, the money is in an account, and every agency from around the state is pulling from this account. It's not just Ypsilanti Police Department that has access. Every agency has access to it. When the money's gone, they shut down, they stop sponsoring or utilizing the grant. So if we're able to use 4, I can't guarantee that there will be money there when we get to October.
Departments to find as many people as they can as quickly as possible and get them in the pipeline as early as they can each year.
Yes, sir. That's just what it is. If you can utilize grants. Now, what they did is, I know for the small agencies, they allocated 25. That's like lifetime. So that's why it's critical. For us, we've used, my last check, we've used 7. Obviously, out of those 7, some of the individuals never even made it to road patrol. The money has been reallocated, so it may have went to 30 lifetime. We're still below that 30 number, but when the money is out of the fund,
Doesn't matter how many you've used.
it doesn't matter. There's no more grant, right? So if we put through, and like I said, we have 3 people. We have 4 people in background right now. 1 is actually a lateral. There's 3 that would be academy sponsorships, or as MCO says, we're actually employing them. We actually have a candidate came on board today that passed all of his reading and writing and his physical agility. We're going to schedule him for an interview next week to see if he meets the standards, how that lines into the time frame for the upcoming academy. So we possibly have an additional person that will be in this academy. We just got to run the background checks, run the interviews. If the money is not, if the money's not there in October, we just won't have it. So we want to, utilize it while it's available, because once the fund is depleted, it's no longer there.
Thanks for that information. Any other questions for the lieutenant or the chief? We've got some agenda items a little bit down. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I just
you know-
didn't know. Yeah.
I mean, Ypsilanti have an academy. That, like X amount of dollars is sitting there waiting to be
I think they tap these grants.
tapped into. Yeah, but so they do a grant, right? They write a grant or ask,
We got a grant.
they got a
Yeah.
grant. So does that money come to Ypsilanti and it just sits there and it waits for that person to get started and get in, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
I think they've got to have the person. Are you saying like, hey,
Yeah.
Watch out.
Commissioner Humes, I think if I understand what you're saying, pretty much. So once we bring these people on payroll, I complete a stack of paperwork for each individual. We send that off to MCOs, which is our licensing authority.
Right.
We also coordinate that with the academy to let them know that, hey, we're sending, I got to get out of the terminology you're using, that sponsor. We're employing this person and we want to utilize the grant. They then send confirmation that, hey, that this person's been approved for the grant. And I believe what they do is they send the money, we pay the money out, but it goes back into the city's general fund. Please don't quote me on that, but that's how it's been explained to me by city leadership.
So can a person, can Elon Musk or someone come in and say, I want to give Ypsilanti City Council the $100,000 and it's to be used for, the academy. Can a person do that?
that the person works out with city leadership?
I would
that
say they got to work that out with city leadership, but I don't know exactly the answer to that. I don't know how that would work, but that may be something a little bit above, my pay grade in terms of what account or what fund that would have to go into to pay for sponsorship for us to employ a person to go to training.
Thank you.
Do you have something to tell us?
No. He's totally alone, doesn't know what to do with his money. It's just him, no family, no nothing. He says, I just want to help or go someplace.
I'll give you my mailing address and other information.
They use.
Thanks.
Write to me. I'll put it to use.
Yeah, we've already spent your money.
We're good. Lori, so item D on this is also related to the police. Can we talk about it now or should we? Yeah. So item D on the discussion items is update on the chief of police hiring process. I figure so that we don't have to keep these gents on the call for the duration of the meeting. If you guys are okay with it, we could talk about that now. To the extent they may say,
You all can, if you don't mind, you can release Lieutenant Wist if you don't have any more questions for him. And
Release.
I can stay on.
any other questions for the lieutenant? Appreciate it.
Unless you really want to be with us.
Pete's worked all day.
Putting it out there.
Awesome. Thanks, Lieutenant.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, so Chief, what's to the extent that you're privy to it, excuse me, privy to it, any updates on the hiring process for a permanent chief, a non-interim chief?
I'm sorry, sir. I don't have any information. What I can confirm and tell you is that I have applied for the job.
Oh, you
There we
were-
go.
I've sent my information to MML, the executive search email, which requested my resume, cover letter, and 5 references. So I have applied, but I have not been given any updates to what the process is, what it looks like.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't close until this Saturday. So I'm
Like
looking
in 2
forward.
days?
Yes, sir. Yep, it closes
Okay.
in 2 days. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I continue
Yeah.
on in that process
Yeah.
or what the next leadership looks like.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
So with him being part of the search, he wouldn't be privy to any of the whole process, would he? So who will we talk to about or ask
Roland,
about?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner Humes. I probably, if I'm just hearing you correctly, I would say that's probably a concern for city council, city management. And I'm sorry, I don't have any information. I'm just saying I'm an applicant at this
Okay,
point.
now that you're part of the, the possible,
You're a candidate.
you're a candidate,
Yes, sir.
you wouldn't have any of the, I don't think you would have any of the information about, where the process is and, like how many candidates we have and all that kind of stuff. We wouldn't get that information from you.
No.
We would need to get it from city council.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Like to make a note that Roland isn't here to answer our questions. I'm upset about it. Well, good luck, Chief. Hope it works out for you. We'll know more soon, sounds like. Or maybe we won't. Who knows? Any other questions for the chief?
No,
Chief, I think we're all good. You have our thanks. Appreciate you coming.
No problem. Thank you all. I will see you next month in person.
Sounds great.
Chief Anderson, Lieutenant West did hand out some more of the survey cards. I'm not sure if there's anything to say about it.
If anybody's got any questions for me, I think I'm sorry I missed that part if Lieutenant Wiss covered it, but we've conducted training internally. There is a special order directing the officers and sergeants, anybody who's having contact with the public on how to distribute the cards. So we're ready to launch April 1st. Again, I know we talked about it a little bit. We'll get the third translation updated here as soon as possible.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. What is this YPAC goal setting thing?
so we need to have a purpose and set some goals.
This is you?
No,
no, this was me.
Like, I know what goals are more broadly,
Oh,
like philosophically. Okay.
I just clarified this with Lori. Historically, we haven't done goals. We've done things, nothing written down, but we've had goals since YPAC has existed. Lori said, if I remember correctly, a couple months back, she said something about setting goals, and I keep hearing people talking about setting goals. We had at one point in time talked about setting goals, so I didn't know if this was a new commission requirement that we needed to fulfill. So I asked Lori to add the goals to our agenda so we could discuss it. And I have hence found out that no, it is not a requirement to have formal goal setting to go through the process. So that would lead us where we are now. I just wanted to sort of open it up for a discussion whether we want, what we wanted to do as a commission. Because yes.
I think it's a great format. Like, as we think about things that we're interested in doing, I think it's a nice way to have a little bit of, well, no, but I mean, like, to have a similar structure. Like, I remember us going through wanting to do that community meeting series, and like that felt like it was all over the place for months. And I don't know, I think like if we have things that we want to do, being able to state it clear, like have a format through which you run things that you want to do as a commission or as part of the commission makes sense to me. I think this is as good a structure as any.
It's a good idea. We should at least attempt to set quarterly goals. Um, And again, we did talk about having our meetings in different venues in order to, attract those people that are unable to come to City Hall, or it's just out of their way, or it's just not accessible for them. Um, So I think that's one thing we definitely need to discuss. Another thing that we need, that I feel we should do is, um, since we do have such a young police department, is we need to, I know they hold an annual open house, or they did in the past, and that's something that we can get on board with and get involved with and show support to our police force.
Like they do an open house at the station and we
Yes.
should go? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we
Okay.
should go, we should help plan.
Okay.
And if they didn't plan on having it this year, we could let them know that they should plan on having it this year.
We'll give them a goal.
Yeah, and then we'll assist them in meeting it.
That's the way goals work, but I like it.
My boss gives me goals all the time.
Too many years of management. so-
When is that open house usually? Like real summertime?
Mhm.
Yeah. For real.
Like June, July, August?
Yeah, no, I'm just, yeah, that's what I recollect because I've been there. And doors and windows were open, it was hot. So, but that doesn't mean anything. We live in Michigan.
And then I don't know if we have any more information on Peacenik, but I think we should make a, effort to be involved in that as well. Either partnering with YPD or maybe doing something separate so that people know that we exist. Okay, I'm done.
Like event is.
I was gonna ask the same question.
Peacenik,
Talk about hash bash?
the opposite, just the opposite.
Copy.
So last year, Peacenik was held at Ypsi Community High School. And it was state police, Washtenaw County, Ypsi Police. There were various community groups. There were a lot of, what do they call them, boots on the ground organizations that were involved.
Okay.
They had buy-in from different pizza places. They gave out food. They had local artists. We had we didn't, we visited. They had like a petting farm and
Where was this?
at Ypsi Community High School.
When is it?
I'm getting that, I should know, as we're involved, but,
Yes, so like Gail, we should be involved.
so Peacenik is an event to help create a peaceful and unite communities by bridging the gap between law enforcement and the communities. Have Peacenik, and then they're also doing a softball game. And I can send people those dates, or I can send them to Lori.
What's the date on the Peacenik?
For
I have it in here
working
somewhere.
on it. And Peacenik, the event is June 7th. So it's
June 7th,
6th and
next
7th,
day.
yes. So it's the weekend.
So it's a weekend kind of.
Mhm.
Nice.
They have steppers, a lot of the,
Will they have a petting zoo again? Feels important.
they have live horseback riding and animal encounters and unforgettable fun.
Okay.
So yes and no. Okay.
It's a maybe. Sounds like a
I'm
maybe.
into it. Yeah, yeah. It's worth checking out.
Oh.
Find out. Yeah.
Next meeting I'll go to, I'll find out.
Oh.
Those are there for you.
And how many of each? Not
Yeah,
just.
'cause that was the very first time I ever saw a porcupine.
There you
They're
go.
big.
They're huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was not what I was expecting.
Seriously.
We get distracted easily.
Okay.
I do think. Yeah. No.
I think it would be useful. I know that some of you have seen it, but at least for YPAC commissioners to see the movie Walking While Black, Love is the Answer. And just, go through the dialogue that goes through it was just a good movie to think about and to see, and then potentially to see if we want to add it on to the community. I know that we've shown it to the officers of Ypsilanti Police and the deputies with just talking about police interactions. And that would be a 2-hour block, whether it would be through this or something, but just ways to potentially get people involved.
I keep meaning to ask, speaking of the police department, like I keep meaning to ask what the racial makeup is of the department and of the new hires, just to get a sense of how it tracks with the demographics of the city. Yeah.
So we'll put that on our.
Yeah.
From a low to ask.
I'll do my best to keep it right here. Yeah.
Been a strong proponent of getting in writing the 30 by 30.
Mm.
30% women hire on the department by 30/30.
20/30?
Not 30/30, 20/30.
30/30.
You're gonna live a long time
Slow moving objective, yeah.
by 2030.
We're all for it, then. 30/30. My God.
All right, how about that goal setting?
You said Kathleen resonates with me because it seems like it's about like getting out there more.
Mhm.
I think, so I mean, I can certainly commit to going to Peacenik on June 7th. Anyone wants to join me? Yep. That would be thrilling.
I'll be there.
Are you coming?
Of course.
I thought you were about to laugh and say no, and I was gonna be like, we're not talking about your goals anymore. I'm,
Well, it's not just going, showing up, it's being involved. So if I don't know who's spearheading it this year, but if there's someone that maybe we could approach to find out, is there something specific that we can do?
I will
Or
reach out to-
can we reach out to Captain Anderson and say, we know that YPD is going to be there. Can we be there in conjunction with? Last year they passed out, I don't know, basketballs, and they just passed out things and talked to people. So if we could, just kind of hang out at their table, take shifts, things like that.
I can reach out to Reverend Jackson about getting involved because he's the one that's organizing. And if we want, it's 2 different options of going through YPAC or just working with YPD.
my vote would be for being there with YPD, but not coordinating
agree.
with Captain Anderson for our presence there. I think that us standing with the community more than with YPD feels important.
So then reach out to see if YPAC could be involved separately.
I think get with the Reverend as opposed to the Captain.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's.
So I will
that's what it
connect.
is. Let's read it. Urban and see what we white pack can be.
And whatever planning or.
So the goals, I mean, something like 30 by 30 is a very
20 to
clear,
30.
It means 30 by 2030,
You
not
do-
30 by 30.
30 by 30, 30% women on the force by 2030 is something that is tangible and quantitative. And we were just talking about demographics. Do we have, I mean, would we want to have as a goal or to have the conversations to encourage that the police force has the demographics as the city in which they, I mean, so what quantitative numbers do we want to put with demographics instead, you know? I mean, make it tangible, even though.
Can I interject with something? With this whole DEI thing going on, how's that gonna affect that? Affect that? I mean, if we're looking to hire, let's say, a composition or to mimic the city's population. So we're gonna be targeting specific.
When he finds out, he's gonna pull those funds.
Or as you,
So,
but you can advertise in certain areas. Well, what's the city's statement on the DEI and funding and federal? I don't know where the cities come down on that.
I don't even know what the demographics are today. Like if we're 15% off, I'm not caring about trying to move the needle the rest of the way personally. The 30 by 30 is a separate thing.
Right,
I'm
yeah, but
sure
you
we have
brought,
to
you
make that.
brought up the demographics, so I'm like, and we're talking about goals, so I was trying to tie the two together.
Yeah, I guess to me, it's like, I just want to know demographics.
So that was just a separate,
No, but it was,
It's a
so I don't,
curiosity thing.
I don't necessarily think the goal that's being described right now feels a lot like setting a goal for YPD, which seems like it's a little bit outside
right,
our
Our purview.
bailiwick. Yeah.
but we could make resolutions or make something saying that
Like encouraging.
YPAC believes
This
that
is important.
we, that this is important,
Yeah.
that the police force should represents, or we should have this demographics, and which includes, you know, I'm just putting it out.
You're gonna have
asking
different
questions.
people applying, period. It's gonna be hard to find candidates and fulfill that,
Right.
role right there.
Right, I mean, it's the long.
It would be impossible.
You advertise, right?
Well, at, the Christmas tree lighting for Depot Town this year, there was 8 police cars there, and they had a pretty good mix, pretty good racial mix, and there was quite a few females also. So I think they're on the way there anyways.
We could ask. let's-
Agree.
That's why we're gonna ask what is the makeup.
I think like one goal is like, how many people do we want attending this meeting? Yeah, but like, I mean, right now we have, really appreciate your consistent presence, 1 to 2. So like, to me, 5 by July of like an average of 5 per, you know what I mean? Cause yeah, as much as possible, sure. But like, what is that even, if we go from 1 or 2 to 5 consistently, that's like a 250% increase.
But how do we achieve that? How do you,
No, but I'm saying it's like the goal is X number of people. The purpose of the goal is to have, like, the more people that we have here, the more representation from the community and potential for exchange of information and ideas and sentiment we have. And then I think, like, how do we do it? What are the actions necessary to complete the goal? I think it's talking to different groups, right? Like, I think the two of you are super involved with the youth in one way or another, like talking to them more specifically about that. Us, like Kathleen was saying, attending more events and like being more organized around attending events and participating in the events. I don't know. But I think that's worthwhile.
There's quite a few people that show up at meetings and they never do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think you really have to give them a reason, and once you begin to meet people out at these different events, you'll spark an interest then.
Mhm.
So you have to give them a reason to come since we're not paying them.
Um, I I have a hard time thinking about other goals. I'm super open to having goals and working towards them, and it would also, I think, frankly, provide a little more structure to some of our meetings every month because be a
Definitely.
little more of like, hey, so everybody, how are we doing on the 3 things that we said we're going to try to get done this year or whatever? But I think feels like in general, even when we have attendance, we don't necessarily have that much participation. And so, like, to me, the joint goals of increased attendance and increased participation. But Kathleen's right. It's like how do you need interest for those things. So I do think like maybe it's participate as a commission in one event per quarter where like a group of us are committing to showing up and being involved in the planning. And it doesn't have to be everyone from the commission is involved in the planning every quarter for each thing, but like, we got a couple people who work on uh Peacenik and then a couple people who find and work on the next thing, et cetera. And then, we've had that much more opportunity to get out and meet folks in a setting other than like me trying to tell my neighbor when he's mowing the lawn, like, hey, you should come to YPAC on the fourth Thursday of this month or whatever. Why don't can we have a homework assignment where we each come with a potential goal for next meeting and we talk about them?
Take mine.
It's taken. I've already taken it and worked with it, and now it's mine. I'll come up with something. Maybe. Um, Stuff on the goal setting for right now.
Or one of the things that we spoke about was the having these sessions at different venues. I'm pretty sure Lori spoke up about it. It would depend on whether we have access to be able to record and to still have, people be able to come on virtually and that kind of thing. So then is there something that needs to be done? Maybe like go out and someone, which I would gladly do, to go to a different places like, well, maybe we can have it at the Freight House. I know the senior center is down right now. They're having some serious issues, so you can't go there. And I do know city council has been there, so they probably have the equipment and everything to be able to do this. Park Ridge, I've been to several different meetings and things there. That might be a possibility. So is that something that needs to happen, is just to find out whether these places can hold what we need or have what we need?
Here to the OMA, Open Meetings Act. So it has to be accessible to the public. And that would include if there's not just, it's not really doesn't need to be recorded. It has to be able, they can see it. Right. And so that would be something. when I had first came here, everyone was wanting to do that to the mental health forum. And at that time, I had contacted all of the city buildings to ask them the requirements, and I did make up a binder with each of them and their requirements of what they require. It's my understanding, like for city council, like a city council member can't go and use a building. They have to do it as a group and ask to use it to get it free. I would assume there'd be something like that where we would have to do some kind of resolution if we wanted to do an event. I'm talking like an event, not just hosting it like a meeting. I'm talking about like if you're gonna do an event. Um, I had asked after that time, I'd asked the city manager about how do they do it, and I heard that we have some kind of recording equipment here somewhere that can be transported. I don't know. I never found it or saw it, so I'm not sure, but I could find out and see what we could do about that. I also saw today at Washtenaw County that they offer like a RV van that they can drive and park places. I don't know if that would be maybe an option even to one of these events, and if you wanted a table, maybe there's something there. I don't know. Did I answer the question? I'm not sure.
I mean, is there some way you could do a Zoom meeting or something like that? Do it on Zoom?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get an answer last time, but I can definitely find out and I will send you, I'll send an email of how do we do it? And adhere to OMA, which is the Open Meetings Act.
Yeah, OMA will make Zoom only challenging, but
I do know that at the Freed House, that they have done them there. And so there was some equipment that was taken over there. Now, is there some kind of system that's already there that we're just plugging into? I don't know.
sure.
But I will find out and I will email, the city manager's out of town and he won't be back until next week. So,
Okay.
We've also had a meeting at, and Senior Citizen Building, but they're closed indefinitely.
we had a leak, yeah.
It is.
So we might not, Catherine, Kathleen, we might not make it to have a sister named Catherine.
The Freight House in Park Ridge is where you guys are maybe thinking, or just somewhere in the public too? When it's up and running, right? Because it's still down.
Interesting to talk to EMU.
EMU, because.
I don't know, they have lots of space that's indoor and also outdoor, and I guarantee they have AV equipment to spare,
Yeah, but
and they're right here.
would they be in a proximity where the community would feel, comfortable trying to get to that and attend?
Convenient, but I live in a ward, not all. So I, and I'm not saying instead of, I'm just thinking of other places
right,
that
right.
like could especially like in the summer months, I bet you that we're not like bumping into as many students, you know what I mean? It's a little bit more quiet on campus, which is certainly convenient to. Like an outdoor thing, you know what I mean? Like just doing it outside on a nice night. To think about, but I like thinking about it. Any more on goal setting before we move on?
I'm always happy.
Um, Update on the city council's boards and commissions meeting.
City council had a large meeting. We all got the email.
Oh, I was out
of
of town.
the Board and commissions. I know I didn't attend, and I just wanted to know from either Lori or from our city council representative or whoever was there to get an update to see if we need to know anything as a commission.
Yeah, so. City council had a study session for the boards and commissions. They had given me like a list of things they wanted to know about, so we had put it together, a policy and procedures. And, we're gonna go over it. City council member Fellows actually started the meeting and added to the agenda, so we really didn't actually get to the policy and procedure book. We
Okay.
just kind of followed, and so they're going to be having another one on June 1st. But for the one, I think they were just trying to get an idea of like, I know, um, um, for immigrants to be was one of the questions Ms. Fellows, Commissioner Fellows was asking about. But we actually had a lot of attendance. I would say there's probably about 10 people here and people on Zoom. So a lot of the commissioners were really interested and did show up. And so I think the June 1st, now that I kind of had a better idea of how they're going about it,
Sunday.
June 1st, did I say it? Is it Sunday?
June 1st is a
June
Sunday.
1st is a Sunday.
That was the date I was given. And so maybe, I mean, that was a date I was given it like that, so I don't know. Whatever, so maybe it's, I don't know, maybe they meant the 1st of June and not June 1st, perhaps, I don't know. But I was at the clerk conference last week, met with a lot of professionals that have forwarding me their policies and procedures and how they're going about it. So I'm really hoping to shore that up, and that probably, I'm guessing, when we go to the meeting, their questions will just be in there. And then they're just going to ask whatever they're still interested in. I don't know if you guys, you probably don't know, but in that packet, they were never really sure of who everyone was. I know they appoint, but there was no list. And so now they do have a master list and with the vacancies. And so as new commissioners like Anthony Perry here came on, I am updating it and sending it to them so they always know who is on everything. If you're a ward, what ward you, if you're a city Ypsi resident, if you're on a ward, what ward you're in. And what the vacancies are, so they can kind of have a more of a view of it to start filling those spots, and they are. Unfortunately, like for HRC, we found out that it's a city of Ypsilanti residents only. And so Daniel Jackson was decommissioned because of that. And so it's kind of just getting it all shored back of what the requirements are. And I think it's going to be good because I do think you're going to be getting maybe more people, because more people are going to be aware. They're going to be able to explain it more, but we'll see.
Cool.
And that's really all I have to say about that.
Aren't all of the commissions for city residents only?
No, there's a few that will allow, some of them are really narrow. You have to be like a, historic district, you have to be like an architect or live downtown or have an
gotcha.
interest. And then like the other, planning is also, and HRC has to be a city resident. But in the actual ordinance for the city, it starts off that you have to be a city resident. And then the second part of that ordinance says, unless it's in the best interest of the city. And so the goal is to always have city residents because, and to be, one of the questions that they spoke a long time about was of being an elector and what that entailed. Like, why can't we have, um, Commissioner Fellows specifically, why can't we have youths vote? And Attorney Barr had previously given a legal opinion saying that you have to be an elector, you have to be able to be a majority to vote. And so you can't vote here if you can't vote, is really what he was basically saying, nutshell, not
Yeah.
meant to quote. And I believe Commissioner Fellows felt like it should still be anyone, even youths, young youths, and has asked for a legal opinion again from our new city attorney, Barker. But I read it and I don't think it'll be able to be changed because it's really a Michigan statute as far as, and the same thing with really the immigrant. You have to be a resident, and you can't be a resident if you are don't live here if you live in another country. But we'll see what he gives in his legal opinion, which I'm assuming will be given maybe on the 1st of June.
If you do get clarification on the date, can you let us know?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I'm sure
Thank
I
you.
will be.
Um, yeah, I'm around in June, so I'll.
And I'll just add that, we did have some staff liaisons, and I'm not sure if we had any chairs or groups that gave something for city council to, for during public comment,
Mm.
that they could speak. Yes, we had a zoning board of appeals commissioner speak at public comment. They didn't have it like during a time where you could just talk. It was like if you wanted to talk, you would do it during public comment, and we did have him, and it really was interesting what he shared about the taxes. That's, and Ellen Thatcher of the Historic District, she also gave a public comment that was read by Pro Tem Wilcoxon. And so that you could do that too.
Okay.
But you will be getting stuff. I apologize. I know I email a lot, but I'm figuring once we have it all down, there'll be less emails. But in the meantime, I'm trying for complete transparency.
I feel like I learned something from every email you send. I'm
That
I'm
is
never
the
like,
goal.
oh my gosh, why did Laura send this? Yeah.
See, Lori, I drop everything.
I delete a lot of emails,
Everything
not
else,
yours.
let me
Yeah.
read this.
I'm trying to get shorter, but I want you
Appreciate it.
to understand where I got it, not just me to give a sentence and you'd be like, where? And then you have the questions. And so I'm like, here, this is where this is coming from.
Thank you very much.
It's all good. Yeah.
Great.
appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Mr.
Okay, any other stuff on the city council board and commission? Okay. Back to public comment. Oh,
Dr. Carpia.
Well, I just wanted to, the question of whether EMU could host a meeting, absolutely. We have plenty of spaces that are high flex, so they have Zoom capabilities and can even track individual speakers and can have at least as many as this room could hold. And I do want to remind everyone that EMU students are residents of Ypsilanti too. And so, I'm chair of EMU's Police Oversight Commission. We, and you're Ypsilanti's Police Oversight Commission, but you're Ypsilanti Police Department's Oversight Commission, and I'm EMU's Police Oversight Commission. We're looking at those police departments, but actually the people we take care of are the same. In fact, over my 4 or 5 years on the commission, I think almost every case that we've reviewed has been not a student or staff or faculty at EMU. It's been Ypsilanti residents. And so we really are kind of, looking out for the same people, just how different forces interact with them. We'd love to host or help you out if you have down the road. The challenge is that we're about to be all disappeared. We're about at the end of the semester and the summer. Nothing happens. Nothing happens over there. But we could think about the fall for sure or something like that.
cool.
And just on that tip also, just a heads up. For years, so I'm about to be tenured out. We have actually term limits at EMU's Oversight Commission, so I'm about to be out there. But we have for years been trying to struggle with a state law is what establishes the oversight. All the universities in Michigan who have a police force have to have an oversight board since like 1990. So they're actually some of the oldest ones in the state. But the law that created it said that they have to be made up of 2 faculty, 2 staff, and 2 students. That's something we've been struggling with on our board because, again, we find that actually most of the complaints that we receive are not from faculty, students, or staff. And so we feel that the people most affected by our police department and most having kind of conflicts are not actually represented on the board that are supposed to make recommendations about those conflicts. And so we're hoping that one of the ways our attorney has said that the law is the law and that's who could be on the board and it can't be anybody but tied to. So we're hoping to potentially create an ex officio community member that could be a non-voting member of the board. And so we'll see how that works. We may be reaching out to YPAC to maybe provide that representative down the road. But that will be next year at the earliest. So, cool.
It's summertime. Thank you. Anyone on Zoom? Okay.
Good evening, WIPAC members. My name is Lynette Kane, middle initial O, and I am also a candidate for the Chief of Police of Ypsi. I just wanted to introduce myself via Zoom to you. And I did have a comment for you based on the discussion that I've heard today. And I just wanted you all to know that I believe in the concept of representative bureaucracy. And that's kind of what you were discussing on having your forms of government represent the community. And I think that's definitely important for you all to continue to encourage all forms of government, the commissions, the city council, and the police agencies to follow by that concept because it is very important. And it also leads to the 30 by 30 initiative, which I am definitely in favor of. Being a woman, being in a male dominated profession is something that I would certainly like to see, regardless of the outcome of this chief of police recruiting endeavor. I would definitely like for you all to continue to encourage that as well, because it's important to have women in all places, is my opinion. So thank you.
Thank
Your
you.
name again?
My name is Lynette Kane, Cain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the only person on Zoom, right? Right. Okay. All right. Any announcements from the commissioners?
Do.
Yeah.
On March 18, no, I'm lying to you. Today is March 18. On April 28th,
Not March 18th.
We passed March
7th. Keep going.
You're trying to take us back in time.
June 1st.
I do know the dates. Anyway, on April 28th at Washtenaw Community College, for adults, there is a group of people, a team, the Community Violence Intervention Team at Washtenaw Community College at 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There is the third annual summit. They're going to have speakers come in and talk. They're going to have a panel of mothers who have lost students to youth to gun violence. The person's key speaker is Kobe Williams, who wrote the book Interrupt Violence. He's also out of Chicago, was one of the original people that worked with CVIT, and the importance of different parts of the community coming together to interrupt and to help cure or cut down on gun violence. And then the next day, which is a Tuesday, which is April 29th, is the first ever.
You're done.
Community Violence Intervention Team for Youth. So they are going to have a youth panel. They're going to have people come in and talk and just work with youth. Hopefully they're going to have the schools buy in and bring their students there. I can send you information for community violence intervention. You need to register for it. In the past, it has sold out. The last thing is the theme this year, which is probably the most important, is love, trust, safety, and belonging.
Awesome. Thank you, Gail. Any other announcements?
Community Easter egg hunt. It's going to be at Park Ridge again, or Perry Early Learning Center, and that's going to be April 19th. Yeah.
Will you be there?
No,
No. All right.
no.
I'm sorry that I asked.
I no longer have little ones to take, and
Yeah, fair
yeah,
enough. Gets
so
weird.
it does, and kind of creepy.
Hey, kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they usually get a great turnout. There's tons of stuff for people to do, and that's the 19th.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Commissioners, if you would like to email me those events, I could post them on the city website as a news flash.
Oh, cool.
And then I also will add them to the minutes under your announcements so that they're there also. But can you please email me? I have a hearing, and so somebody couldn't hear what you said.
Okay, so send you information.
Thanks, Lori. Any other announcements? Okay. Suppose at this point, if someone wants to make the appropriate motion, we can adjourn for the evening.
Adjourn at, this time.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All abstaining? We're good. Thanks, everyone.
Trying to get.